ulitin ang mga sedula ninyo!
Good historical day to everyone. Today, we're going to discuss one of the most controversial issues in the Philippine history, the cry of Pugad Lawin or Balintawak. Before, Caloocan was only a municipality of Manila Province. Caloocan composed of several barrios, namely Balintawak, Besa, Bagubantay, Bahay Toro, Banlat, Kulyat, Kangkong, Loma, Marulas, Talipapa, and Tangke. Cry, Unang Sigaw, Unang Laban by Soledad Borromeo Blayler, Pasha, Teodora Agoncillo and Isagani Medina, and Pagpupunit by Agoncillo and Medina. Those people involved are Filipino writer, historian, and members of the Katipunan. The term cry doesn't necessarily mean shouting. Unlike the Filipino term sigaw, it translated from the Spanish El Grito de Rebelión or El Grito for short, which means cry for rebellion. The first cry is generally specified as the first call for rebellion. It is marked as the beginning of Filipino Revolution or seeking of independence for the Philippines from Spanish colonial rule with the use of violence and arms.
Per our mention, these are the individuals that shape the dramatic landscape of the cry of Balintawak or Pugad Lawin.
We have Teodoro Pateño, the catalyst. Teodoro Pateño is a key figure in the cry of Balintawak, and he is a member of the Katipunan. Known for his bold decision to expose the Katipunan's uprising plans against the Spanish colonial rule. His knowledge and courage ignited collective action among revolutionaries. Pateño's leadership exemplifies how one person's bravery can inspire a larger movement for freedom. We have Apolonio de la Cruz, the resilient supporter. Apolonio de la Cruz played an essential supporting role during the cry of Balintawak. He is a dedicated Katipunero. He rallied his fellow Filipinos against colonial oppression, and he contributed to the strategic planning and logistic of the movement. His commitment highlights the importance of unsung heroes to fuel the revolution from within. And we have also Honoria Pateño, kilala bilang the silent strength. Honoria Pateño was the sister of Teodoro Pateño. She symbolizes the sacrifices made by women in the revolutionary struggle. Though her specific contributions are less documented, her supportive presence alongside her brother reflects the critical yet often overlooked roles that women played in the fight against colonialism. And we have Sor Teresa de Jesus, the philanthropic advocate. Sor Teresa de Jesus, she was an Augustinian Recollect nun. She exemplified the fusion of faith and activism. While not a traditional revolutionary, her advocacy for the welfare of the Filipino people during colonial turmoil positioned her as an ally to revolutionary ideals. Her humanitarian efforts provided strength and support to those seeking justice, nurturing the growth of nationalism within her community. And last, we have Father Mariano Hill, the conscience of the community. Father Mariano Hill, an Augustinian priest, acted as a moral compass within his parish during a time of revolutionary change. Balancing his clerical duties with the rising nationalist sentiments, he engaged with the local grievances and promoted discussion of justice. His nuanced approach underscored the complexities of navigating faith and social change under the colonial rule, so he reinforced his role as a mediator in the community.
Katipunan is a secret organization or society founded by, of course, our dear Andres Bonifacio.
Cry of Pugad Lawin. The name of Pugad Lawin did not appear in any map of Caloocan at the time. In 1917, Pio Valenzuela insisted that the pagpupunit and pasya happened in the house of Melchora Aquino in Pasyong Tamo, Barrio Banlat, Caloocan o Pakpak, Lawin. But in 1920s, Valenzuela restated that the two events happened at Juan Ramos' house in Pugad, Lawin. It is very surprising that there are various versions on the dates and venues for the first cry. This controversy remains unsolved in the Philippine history since different Filipinos have varying accounts when or where it happened. Because of differing accounts in the ambiguity of the place names in these accounts, the exact date and place of the cry is disputed.
In my opinion, the cry of Balintawak's dates and place are very confusing because due to many claims and sources that have been differ to one another.
Allegedly, the pagpupunit was happened on August 23, while Pasha was happened on August 24 because of the following document. Medina, Biak na Bato, Constitution 1897, Carlos Ronquillos Chronicles 1896, La Liga Filipina Monument Tondo 1903, and Santiago Alvarez Memoir 1927. Where did the allegedly pagpupunit and Pasha really happen? Leading revolutionists went first to Poblacion, Caloocan, after leaving Manila, and then headed eastwards via Kangkong towards Pasong Tamo and eventually Balara. Some sources say they left Kangkong as early as August 23, whereas others say they were still in Kangkong as late as August 26. The three places where the pagpupunit and Pasha was happened.
The first one is the Guillermo Masangkay, which happened in August 26, 1896, in Balintawak, in the house of Apolonio Samson in the Cabeza of Caloocan. One of the places where the pagpupunit and pasya was happened was in the house of Melchior Aquino in Pasong Tamo, Barrio Banlat, Caloocan. Now let us now come to the final claim, which is the Pai Valenzuela, which is the right hand of Andres Bonifacio, August 23, 1896, in the house of Juan Ramos, a son of Tandang Sora, whose house was located in Pugad, Lawin. He said that what happened in the house of Apolonio Samson is just a meeting and there was no decision.
August 24, 1896, nang itinatag ang unang pamahalaang pambansa sa pamamagitan ng pagkakabuo ng pamahalaang mapanghimagsik sa Bahay Toro, Balintawak. Si Andres Bonifacio ang naluklok na pangulo nito. Matapos ang himagsikan, inipo naman ni General Santiago Alvarez ng magdiwang ang mga kwento ng mga kapwa-revolusyonaryo at isinulat ito sa mga pahayagan sa pitak na pinamagatang ang katipunan at ang mga paghihimagsik. Nagkaroon siya ng mga komprehensibong tala ng mga pangyayari sa unang lagablab ng himagsikan. Ayon sa kanya, walang tigil ang ambon na humina at lumakas habang tinatahak ng katipunan ang malalawak at mapuputik na bukiran at parang. Basaan ang mga damit, namimitig ang mga katawan sa malamig na simoy ng hangin, pagal at walang imik sa paglalakad.
Alvarez, The Cry of Bahay Toro, August 24, 1896. This version of the cry was written by Santiago Alvarez, a well-known Katipunero from Cavite, and the son of Mariano Alvarez. Santiago is a relative of Gregoria de Jesus, who happened to be the wife of Andres Bonifacio. Unlike Masangkay, Samson, and Valenzuela, Alvarez was not an eyewitness of the historic event. Hence, his version cannot be accepted as equal in weight to that given by actual participants of the event.
Although Alvarez was in Cavite at that time, this is his version of the first cry.
On August 22, 1896, Bonifacio and the 300 Katipuneros reached Apolonio Samson's house in Kangkong, Caloocan with 12 revolvers, itak, sulijan, balaraw.
And on Sunday, August 23, 1896, as early as 10 o'clock in the morning, at the barn of Cabezang Melchora, at a place called Sampalucan, Barrio of Bahay Toro, Katipuneros met together. About 500 of these arrived, ready and eager to join the Supremo, Andres Bonifacio and his men. And on Monday, August 24, 1896, there were about 1,000 Katipuneros. The Supremo decided to hold a meeting inside the big barn. Under his leadership, the meeting began at 10 o'clock in the morning. It was 12 o'clock noon when the meeting adjourned amidst loud cries of "Long live the sons of the country" or "Mabuhay ang mga anak ng bayan." The meeting pointed out the establishment of pamahalaang mapaghimagsik, an evidence that Bonifacio can consider to be as the president of the Philippines, and the Pasha for the start of revolution, scheduled to be on August 29 to 30, 1896. Here are the different sources and writers about the cry of Pugad Lawin or Balintawak. From the survey, Jim Richardson surmised that the KKK veteran's statements that the two events happened in the Kangkong, Caloocan was legitimate. Yet, Teodoro Agoncillo and Isagani Medina considered the memo of Valenzuela because of his being an eyewitness.
In 1983, Pugad Lawin Historical Committee was established who investigated the crime but did not find any fresh document that the crime happened in other places. Its investigation relayed to the National Historical Institute. The historical marker was placed on Bahay Turo, Quezon City. Alleged Pugad Lawin on August 23, 1984. The Pugad Lawin Historical Committee did not discover any fresh documentary evidence in its 1983 investigation but claimed to have identified the former site of Ramos Place, then amidst a squatter settlement, on the basis, it seems, of oral testimony from one of Juan Ramos' grandson, Escolas Tico Ramos. The committee relayed its finding to the government historical agency, then called the National Historical Institute, which, despite someone to visit the site, deliberated on the matter and declared the committee to be right. On the occasion of the next commemoration of the crime, on August 23, 1984, the NHI placed its marker at the site and Seminary Road, Bahay Turo, which has since remained. In order to simplify the issue, Dr. Ambet Ocampo suggested that it is much better to be called as Sigaw sa Caloocan. The reason is that the crime was happened in Caloocan, which is now a Quezon City. In some ways, to play safe, Prof. Xiao Chua suggested it to be called as Unang Sigaw ng Himagsikan, First Cry of Revolution. The term cry is used to refer to the first clash between the Katipunan and the civil guards, Guardia Civil, and the tearing up of community tax certificates, cedulas personales, and defiance of Spain. The term cry comes from the Spanish El Grito de Rebellion, Cry of Rebellion, or El Grito for short.
Significance of Cry of Balintawak and Pugad Lawin, the event of the tearing of cedulas gives a sense of nationalism. Just like what was built during the discussion, the cedulas symbolize how Filipinos have endured the abuses of the Spaniards. And so when Bonifacio and other Katipuneros decided to tear this down, that showed us they are willing to fight for their country. This should also practice today, for instance, in the case of the West Philippine Sea, that we should know how to fight what's ours. Dahil natutunan natin ito, marirealize natin na katulad ng mga Katipuneros, dapat rin natin ipaglaban ang ating bayan. The analysis of this event has gone through a lot, from all the inconsistencies in date and place. It only shows how critical history is. President Macapagal's decision in 1963 to officially recognize the event as the Cry of Pugad Lawin, celebrated on August 23, helped address controversies. However, the varying accounts from important figures such as Gregorio de Jesus, Pio Valenzuela, and Julio Nakpil highlights the complexities of documenting history through personal narratives and memories. Mahalagang may isang legal na batas na kailangan sundin upang maiwasan ang mga kontrobersiya. This same case happened also sa case kung saan nga ba naganap ang first mass in the country. Kaya naman ang lahat ng artifacts and evidences ay dapat na sinasalang ng mabuti. The Cry of Pugad Lawin or Balintawak marked the start of the Philippine Revolution in 1896, which eventually led to independence of the Philippines in 1898. This historical event made the Filipino people to fight for our freedom and independence.
For the additional information, the discovery of the Katipunan plot accelerated the revolution's timeline. Bonifacio, aware of the compromise secrecy, decided to launch the revolution earlier than planned. Also, the Cry of Pugad Lawin became a rallying cry for Filipinos to unite against Spanish colonial rule.
These are the places where pagpupunit and pasya was happened. So, the first place is in Samson's house in Barrio Kangkong, Caloocan. Ito ang pinaniniwalaang lugar kung saan ang meeting place ng mga Katipuneros. Subalit, hindi ina-accept ang claim na dito naganap ang first cry of Balintawak. Ngunit, may posibilidad na dito nangyari ang tearing of cedulas dahil nga ito ang meeting place ng mga Katipuneros. The second place is in Aquino's house in Pasong Tamo. According to Gregorio de Jesus, dito naganap ang first cry of Balintawak. The last place is Ramos House in Bahay Toro, Caloocan. Ang Pugad Lawin ang pinakatanggap na lugar kung saan naganap ang pagpupunit ng sedula na naging simbolo ng revolusyon.